Hey everyone, it's Chronomew and this is BindOnEpic, and today I wanted to talk about yet another gaming controversy. Do video games actually make people violent? So people are concerned that violent video games actually increases the levels of aggression in the people that play them. And I'd like to preface the rest of this discussion by saying that the people who accuse the industry and the violence of video games for the violence in people know little to nothing about the video game industry itself. They've never played a game, they've never picked one up. They're like, video games are bad, so they don't play them. Also, the people who blame video games have such a small scope as to what exactly they're talking about. When they talk about violent video games, they're mostly talking about games like Call of Duty or Halo or Grand Theft Auto, and that's such a small part of the industry, even if they are big titled games, that it is unfair for them to point the finger at the entire video game industry in general. The majority of people who play violent video games actually report that these video games don't give them the desire to hurt themselves or others, and that these games actually help to relieve stress. The people who are concerned about the violence of video games are mostly concerned about how it's affecting our country's younger generation. ESRB ratings exist for a reason. If people are concerned about the level of violence in video games and how it's is going to affect the youth of America, they should realize that violent video games such as Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto have an M rated, which means that a 12-year-old can not walk into a GameStop and say, "Hey, can I buy this Call of Duty?" They can't do that. An adult over the age of, I don't know if it's 18 or 21, but an adult has to purchase the game for them, and most likely that adult is going to be their parent. And if their parent is concerned about them playing the game, then all they have to do is just not let their kid play it. So maybe it's not so much the industry's fault as it is irresponsible parenting. If a parent knows their child is so impressionable that they're going to become extremely aggressive after playing a video game, then the parent should be telling their kids not to play these video games and enforcing that, especially since the kid should have no means of purchasing the game on his own. People who blame the industry seem to forget that there's a lot of violence on TV and there's a lot of violence in movies. And you can even find a lot of violence on the internet. If someone is impressionable enough that they're going to become aggressive after playing a game like Call of Duty, they're most likely going to become just as aggressive from watching a violent movie. It's not the video game industry's fault. The violence in video game controversy seems to start after some guy goes to a school and shoots up some people. And they're so quick to blame the industry, but they don't take the second to think that maybe the guy's just mentally unstable. Maybe it's not the video games he's playing. Maybe it's just that he's cray-cray. Or the fact that there are probably other stress factors in his life that's making him violent, like the kind of people he's around, or how he's treated by his peers. And even though violence in video games is becoming more prominent in the video game industry, the crime rates are still declining in our society. So I don't think the amount of violence in video games is really to blame for any crime, especially since crime is declining. Gamers don't like to put on pants. Going outside and killing people often involves putting on pants, and gamers don't do that kind of stuff. And to go back on a point that I made earlier, violent video games such as first-person shooters, Grand Theft Auto, etc., are only a part of the industry. People who blame the video game industry for massacres or what be it, don't seem to realize that there are so many other types of video games out there. Strategy games stimulate learning and faster response times to problem-solving situations. Most RPGs give players a nice big open world to explore and level through. It's not just a violent industry. There is so much more available to people in the video game industry. It's an industry for everyone. You can't spawn a tank in real life. Bazookas aren't as readily available. Gamers don't like to put on pants. So do video games actually increase the amount of violence in society? No. Anyway, that's all I have to say. My name is Chronomew, and this is BindOnEpic. If you liked the video, remember to leave a thumbs up and share it with your friends. If you like me and want to see more, remember to subscribe. If you want to see more of him, definitely subscribe. Right? You want to see bye? Bye? I gave him a bone. He doesn't care. See bye? Bye? Can I get a kiss?